and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's race, Insanely Air 13, as we are preparing to get away for the 18th round of XRL's Realistic Series. And we're at the large, wide-open circuit of France where there's plenty of runoff, and you almost have to try to actually hit anything with your car here, unless you end up making contact with someone else. The championship battle continues to be a little bit tense, but still very favorably in XRL Matrix's favor, while in the Manufacturers Championship, because no one wants to show up and drive for Ferrari anymore, it looks like the Manufacturers battle is getting blown wide open, and we may see 3 or 4 different teams all with a shot of stealing that Manufacturers title as we come down to the end of the season. But before anything else, we do want to go ahead and talk about, what actually is going to go on in today's race and a few absentees. XRL Raptor, who is a McLaren driver, he's going to have to step away. He says likely until the end of this season due to some extreme family and personal issues. I won't get more into it than that, but we do keep our thoughts and prayers out for him and his family. XRL Ozda wanted to try and show up for today's race. However, he was not able to make the time, sadly, so his seat has ended up going to XRL Veloce. Veloce is more than likely going to end up taking over for broadcasting next week for the Realistic League, as I have some commitments with another racing series, and the times will overlap so harshly that it won't be possible for me to cover both series. But that's basically the main things to take in consideration. Right now, for a championship, it's still Torpedo versus Matrix. Matrix still has well over a race worth of points, but Torpedo is coming off of a win last week and has closed up the gap a bit. If Torpedo can keep winning every single race from here to the end of the season, which isn't super likely, but if he can somehow do that, he will be in a position where he might be able to beat Matrix if Matrix just misses out on a few podiums in these closing laps of the closing races of the season. First driver out into the circuit for today's qualifying session is going to be XRL 19. 19 out there in the Williams machine here. And he's joined by Collie Boy, who is the driver filling in for Raptor right now. And then also on the circuit is Mr. Worson, who is XRL Matrix's teammate. One thing I consider about this circuit is that there are 4 straights, realistic straights, but only 2 of them have DRS zones, one of them being your front straightaway, and one is the first of the 2 back stretches here. This circuit a little bit like Monza, since you have multiple back straightaways. There's also kind of a not really straight, but straight-ish near full throttle section right after the second corner here that also you're going to want to be in the gas on the entire time down that. So keep that in mind as well, although that's not a super ideal overtaking opportunity. Also, we're now seeing a Haas coming out onto the track. That is Frisbee. Oh, and 19 has retired in the pit lane. Interesting circumstance there. And we'll try to reach out to him. Not aware of him having any penalties. But riding on board with Collie Boy in the middle of his flying lap right now. So as it stands, he is poised to be the driver to set the lap times that everyone else will be chasing. .057 at the end of Sector 1. Now he throws onto the back straightaway, opens up the DRS zone. Maximum straight line speed. And then slams that thing shut right before coming into this backstretch chicane. And at the end of Sector 2 is a 51.203. Real life F1, I'm not going to give any spoilers for those who have not seen, but real life Formula 1 is at Bahrain for their season opener. And this track, compared to Bahrain, they're almost like exact opposites. Bahrain's Sector 2 is a nice showcase of all the variances of what a car is supposed to be able to do, and Sectors 1 and 3 are all just about pure speed. Here is just the opposite. Sector 2 is almost purely about acceleration speed. Sector 1 is a bit more mechanically inclined, and Sector 3 is aerodynamically inclined. So Callaway Boys invalidated his lap, so the priority goes to Mr. Worsen, as he will be the first driver to get a lap in for this session. As he comes out of the final corner, ahead of him on circuit, that's XRL, Torpedo's teammate. And Worsen will cross the line and will set a 132.046. Thought I was going a little faster than he actually was. And that'll be the first time of the session, but he will be joined shortly afterwards by the Aston Martins as Fizzy 1258, a reserve driver, stepping in to Ozda's seat. He is stepping into Ozda's seat, yeah. Well, one of them are, I don't remember if Look is one stepping in or Fizzy stepping in, but one of them stepping into Ozda's seat. Fizzy goes faster with a 131.501. Frisbee, interestingly enough, is in the Haas, which is without doubt the worst car on the field. They have medium tires slapped on that car, so he's trying, well, it says he has medium tires, doesn't actually have it. He has soft tires on, that's an interesting thing. So for him, it's going to be a question of can he get that car into the next round of qualifying. As he crosses the line, there's enough ERS that if he needs to go for another lap, he could. His first lap is a 31.546. This is Dave Ewart in the Mercedes here, though. Him and Ocean Line both on track. 1 second. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead, run silent for a lap on board with Dave Ewart here for a full lap around France, see what he can do and what he can show us here. And that's a full lap on board with Dave Ewart in the Mercedes, 132.351. His teammate Ocean Lion has yet to come out onto the circuit. 7 of our 18 drivers have set lap times. Again, XRL 19 was one of the first to get out on circuit, but then almost immediately before even completing his outlap, aborted and retired in the pit lane. So he will not be advancing. We know that for a fact. So there are still 2 other drivers who will be in the drop zone. We're trying to figure out. This is your points leader, XRL Matrix. He comes out of the final corner, and across the line, he will set a lap time of 1:31.716. That's good enough for 5th, and just about 0.3 faster than his teammate Worsen at the moment. As it stands right now, it looks like if you're in the 131s, you will be good. Ryan Hurricane in the Haas has set his time on the medium tire compounds, 1:33.497. So that's 1.1 seconds off the time of low right now. It's not even remotely competitive. And Frisbee has had an off and a spin in Sector 3. Fuel is low in the car, and he's gone through about half of his ERS. I don't know if he was on a cooldown lap or if he was pushing too hard on a second lap, but either way, he's going to have to come back in. Obviously, that lap's invalidated, and he's not have the fuel to go for another shot at it. XRL Torpedo, you're second in the championship fight, in the middle of the lap right now. Into the backstretch chicane he goes. Power down, power out. No DRS on the second straight here. 51.183 at the end of Sector 2. He'll navigate around Ryan Hurricane, who's on a cooldown lap. And this bit's really difficult here because all these corners, they're flowy. There's a lot more downforce and aerodynamic grip. Aerodynamic grip is more important in Sector 3 than pure mechanical grip. But you're taking some of these corners at high speed, some of them at medium speed, some of them at low speed. So now the final corner is Torpedo. A little bit of bottoming out in the rear before the rear wing opens. And he will set a time 1:31.835. That's sixth fastest thus far, just behind his championship rival Matrix on the timesheets at the moment. Level 6 Beastian in the middle of a lap in the Red Bull, as is Smoothie25. He is in Sector 1, about to exit that with a 22.814. Also, Zola on an out lap in Ocean Line, the second Mercedes finally out onto the circuit. XRL Flavor has also just recently crossed the line. He is in the middle of a lap right now as well. Beastian coming to the line. So Beastian sets a 32.462. So now the focus goes, as Zola begins his lap, the focus now goes to Smoothie25 in the Alpine, as Flavor has invalidated this lap. His teammate, XRL Jigsaw, on top of the timesheets right now with a 31.419. So we know the Alpine cars have potential and have at least decent single lap pace. Now down into the final corner comes Smoothie. He'll be good on ERS, and it looks like he's good on fuel. That if he wants to, he can go for another flyer right after this one. 131.676. That's good enough for fifth at the moment. At the bottom of the timesheets is still Ryan Hurricane. He has improved a little bit, but it will not be enough to significantly change his fortunes. He's only improved by about a quarter of a second. He is still over 3/4 off of Beastian's time. And I think for Ryan Hurricane, the writing is on the wall. If he wants to make it into the next round, he either needs a lot of other drivers to crash out, or he needs to come in and set laps on soft tire compounds. Ocean Lion has invalidated his lap. Zola is still in the middle of a valid lap, and not just that, his teammate Collie Boy, who was out there earlier but invalidated, he is going to try and get a tow off of his teammate when Zola is on a cooldown lap after this. Fizzy retires in the pit lane now. Zola, 131.509. Collie hoping that Zola kind of lets off just a bit ahead. Also, you can see the Alpine, that would be Smoothie25, who has not come to a stop, but he has slowed down significantly there in Sector 3 on the map. Collie Boy really struggling with that McLaren through the more mechanical grips of Sector 1. He is going to close on his teammate, though, and Zola will give him a nice tow down the first of the two back straightaways and swing out of the way. So that'll be a nice, helpful tow. And coming out of Sector 2, Collie Boy will have a time of 50.974. Flavor, another invalid lap. It's not looking good for him. Not looking great for Ocean Lion either. He's waited a long time to get a lap in. Alright, here comes Collie Boy now, in through about the last handful of corners. And he invalidates. So the focus now goes to Ocean Lion and XRL Flavor on another lap. His fuel is low, though, with only 4.5 minutes left. It will be very rough for him to try and get another lap in if he invalidates this one. Ocean Lion in the middle of a run right now. And Collie Boy, after invalidating, immediately came back into the pits. He wasn't going to try and waste his time. Flying down the second back straightaway. Lion 1 minute, .993. So it's not looking very good for Lion at the moment. Now Gabo also retires in the pit lane. Lion does not seem to be using very much ERS. In fact, the ERS is almost fully charged. And he will pull over. So this lap will not be a truly competitive one. We turn to look at Flavor right now. Once again, Flavor will try and be the 15th driver to get a lap in. And he's aborting. Fuel, not enough. And with just a bit over 3 minutes left, it's very likely that Flavor is not going to get a lap in. And all of a sudden, Ryan Hurricane, who is trying to zip the system by making it to the next round on medium tires, is looking very possible. Because Ocean Lion set a not even remotely competitive time, although he is now starting to actually pick up pace here. Flavor and Collie Boy have not been able to set laps at all either. And it takes you about a minute and a half to get around the circuit. And there's been an instant. That is Veloce, who has had a spin. Now Jigsaw retires. So the top 3 fastest, they all know they're good. If you're in the 131s, you're good. Frankly, it's looking like if you're in the 132s, you're probably going to be good. Although Beastian sees that and is already responding by going out and trying to improve. Ryan Hurricane now out onto the circuit. They have put softs on the Haas machine finally. Some very strange decisions being made, to say the least, in that team. Flavor still in pit lane, but as I say that, you can see him coming out of his box right now. He has 2 minutes to get around the circuit to get a lap in. He's only going to have 1 chance at a lap into the next session. Veloce now retires in the pits. He knows he's fine. Ocean Lion still in the middle of his lap. This one will not be a 146. He just has to navigate 1 more corner. Oh, and Bastian's had an accident! What's happened with Beastian? And Beastian's out! Ocean Lion jumps up to 6. Beastian has had an accident with Frisbee, and Beastian is destroyed. What in the world happened? And now Flavor and Collie Boy look a little bit better, but what happened to Beastian? Collie Boy back into the pits. He has retired. So Collie's not going to advance. For Flavor, he could set a horrible lap time, and he can't just set a horrible lap time, actually. He needs to be a 133.246 in order to make it, but before that, he needs to make it to the line first, and Ryan Hurricane is going to try and go faster with the soft tire compounds, and if he does, then Flavor has to beat Low. This is going to get really interesting. Flavor needs to match or beat Ryan Hurricane and or Low's pace. Otherwise, Flavor won't advance to the next round. Frisbee is running extremely slow ahead of Ryan Hurricane on the circuit, but I think that's planned. I think Frisbee is intentionally running slow so he can try and give his teammate a pull down the straight, but they've timed it very badly. This has not been as good of a timing as you want. I don't know if Ryan Hurricane really got much of a benefit from that toe down the straight. But he's flying now around the backstretch chicane. He's up by 747, so he's up by an entire airliner off of his prior time. Flavor is invalidated. He will not advance. And that means this man here, Ryan Hurricane, will advance into the next round. Doesn't matter what happens. But for Beastian, some very strange scenarios to say the least. And we have no idea what happened with him. And Hurricane realizes that he's locked in, and he brings it into the pits. For Flavor, frustration, and normally a man who's very good at maintaining good track limits, he seems to be his Achilles heel in Q1, and he will be one of 4 drivers that will not advance. And for him, it's all just because he's not able to set a single clean time. The time he does set is in the 132s, and that could have been enough to get him in, but again, it's not legal, so it doesn't matter. So as we look at the grid, here you are. Jigsaw at the top in the Alpine with a 31.419, and check that out, the top 4 all within a tenth of each other, and then beyond that, the top 7 are all within 2 tenths, and the top 8 all within 3 tenths, so very close near the front. The drivers that did not advance, though, BCN, 19, Flavor, and Collie So it'll be a very, very interesting and frustrating time for those drivers farther back. So right now, it seems like the split between medium and soft tires pretty even at the moment. But with that said, oh yeah, that's actually something else I do want to talk about very briefly, as we see Frisbee being the first one to get out onto the circuit. 2022 Formula 1 regulations regarding qualifying have changed. You no longer have to, if you're one of the top 10 fastest starters, you no longer have to start the race on the tires that you were given in Q2. And personally, I think that's a decent idea. If I had my way about it, it would be Q3, it would be Q1, I'm sorry, it would have been Q1, and any tire that you run in Q1 would have been what you start on. But for F1, they're going the extreme opposite way. You can run softs Q1, Q2, Q3, and still choose to start the race on mediums, and that's perfectly legal, and I think that's just as reasonable of a good option. So this entire thing that we're seeing right now, we will still see it in the next truncated short season for the normal X1, X2, X3 grid, and there's been an incident as that is Worsen, who has had a spin in Sector 1. And Matrix is now coming down the pit lane, but yeah, but for the next game, F1 2022, we will not see that anymore. So starting 11th no longer has a small advantage over starting 10th in a race. So yeah, in Q2 at least, there will be a lot more incentive to just go faster. Now that also means we won't see as much of this, what we're seeing now with drivers running multiple different tire compounds. We're likely just going to see everyone running soft throughout the entirety of Q1, Q2, Q3. But with that said, and that obviously will take some interest out of a lot of the Q2 sessions. But with that said, it will give you a much better idea as to what the actual pace will be, and we won't see somebody who actually should probably be top 10 starting 14, 15 just because they got snake bit on tire strat, or they're trying to just exercise a tire strat advantage. So I think it's not a massive positive, but I think overall it's a small net positive. Again, if I had my way about it, I would have said whatever tires you ran in Q1 for the entire field is what you have to run at the race start myself. Put everyone under the same restriction and make it so that way you are not burned through as many sets of rubber, but that's just me. Frisbee, with the soft tire compounds, hurling that Haas machine through the backstretch chicane. The Haas team had a very strong potential run at Baku last week. It all kind of fell apart though as the race went on, due to just a lack of power down the straightaways more than anything else. And as it went on, one of them were not able to finish. That was Frisbee. And then the other one, Ryan Hurricane, just was not even close to being near the front at the end, just due to the way the race went off. A lot of long green flag runs near the ending parts after a lot of yellow early on due to rain on the track, meaning that there was almost no grip. And out of I think it was like a 17 car starting field, we only had 7 drivers finish that race, although 8 were classified as rain at the finish. But just a very, very messy and chaotic event last week. Frisbee crosses the line, and he'll set the time everyone will chase with a 1:32.860. And I can put 100% guarantee down that we will see that time fall quickly, as now Veloce, he sets a 33.227. He will be going faster soon enough, without a doubt. Now we see Lowe split the two of them on the medium tires with a 32.917. And now here comes the other Haas machine of Ryan Hurricane. He pops up in the rear wing, and at the line it will be a 1:32.336. So Haas is 1-2 on the timesheets. Now here comes Mr. Worsen across the line. He spun on his initial outlap, but it's not too much of an issue. And with the medium tires, it is a 1:32.824. Now we see XRL Zola coming onto the track a little bit behind him. Even farther back, though, out of the final corner is XRL Jigsaw. Fastest in the Q1 at the end of this lap, 1:32.177, and that's on the medium tire compounds. Now we see Matrix here, Points Leader, coming out of the final corner. He'll pop up in that rear wing, and across the line, he'll set a 1:32.374. That's good enough for third with the medium tire compounds, and now his rival Torpedo will cross the line to get a flying lap in. Smoothie is in the middle of an outlap. Right now, everyone is in the middle of an outlap or in pit lane with the exception of this man here, Gabo, and Torpedo just crossed the line. And Gabo didn't even invalidate there. He was on the proper racing line, but the game says he invalidated. So will the invalidation carry over into the next lap for him? Yes, it does. And for Gabo, that's the worst case scenario. So for Gabo, he now has to rush to get into pit lane and get new tires on, because every second spent on the track is a second wasted at this point. Torpedo in the middle of the lap, though, a little bit ahead of him at the moment. His teammate XR Lowe is set a 32.917. The AlphaTauris have been up there with the McLarens. They've basically been the second fastest, and sometimes the outright fastest in a straight line this season. McLarens have been able to match them mostly. McLarens, though, have had better all-around single-lap pace. What's worked, though, for the AlphaTauri drivers, though, is that they've had better strategy. McLarens keep stumbling or tripping either on strategy or their own driver mistakes. AlphaTauri drivers seem to be a lot worse anywhere that's not straight, but the drivers are able to, negate their issues and are able to keep things relatively well solid. Torpedo was in the Ferrari earlier. He was one of the drivers who got moved into the AlphaTauri. And interesting enough, and I've said this last week, I'll say it again, he actually said that he felt that the Ferrari was too fast for him. He asked to be kicked down to a slower car. So 2 weeks ago, when the entire grid was reorganized, he was one of the priority drivers. He got moved into the AlphaTauri, and his pace and performance has not changed that significantly. So he will set a time 1:33.172 on medium tires, but at the front it is still XRL Jigsaw with a 32.177. Coming to the line right now is Dave Ewart, but he has invalidated this lap. Zola in Sector 2 right now, and Gabo finally makes it into the pits. So Zola, the main focus at the moment, as his teammate did not make it into Q2. And for Zola, he has pretty much shown himself without a doubt to be the #1 driver in the team. And he's had 3 different teammates for multiple races throughout the season. And although some of them have had some decent runs, Zola has come the closest to putting everything together. He's pretty much been able to carry that entire team on his back, and he's shown up for almost every single race. He's the most familiar with this car, but it's just the pace has not been there. But I do also want to say this about Zola. Zola kind of has a similar driving style, at least, to the likes of XRL Flavor. Flavor and Zola both are not very great with qualifiers. In fact, they're honestly some of the weakest drivers when it comes to qualifying, especially in the main Sunday X1, X2, X3 divisions. Zola's a little bit stronger in qualifying here in realistic, but not so much so that all of a sudden you're going to say, oh, Gus, he can definitely contend for front row starting position. But Zola and Flavor both have a similar strategy of, letting the race come to them, just being, not excessive, but taking advantage of missed opportunities that other drivers have. As long as they don't get caught up in another instance, normally Zola's able to bring it home. Now, the problem is he does get caught up in a lot of other instances quite often. But that is his strategy, and that seems to be a strategy that has worked out well. The counterpoint to that, though, is that it would seem like Zola is not really pulling 100% of the ability out of that McLaren throughout a race pace. You compare that to Raptor. Raptor sandbags the car throughout the entire first half of the race and basically runs P15 or so throughout almost the entire first half of an event. Then he flips the switch once he knows that he's good on fuel numbers, and he starts charging his way up to the field once the grid's a little bit more spread out, so there's going to be more clean air for him, and there's less cars on the circuit. Problem is, normally the risk is that he's stuck in the midfield or back of the grid so long, he often gets caught up in someone else's event or has to swerve and take damage, avoiding an instant. And the circuit seems to be getting a little bit dark in the last minute or so. So that could be interesting. Dave Ewart has gone multiple laps on this set of tires and has not been able to set a single clean lap. His teammate Ocean Line is on mediums, and honestly, if Dave's queued off the best of that rubber, Ocean might honestly be able to beat him. But Line is not leaning too hard on the ERS at the moment. Now we see him start laying on it, and has clean track ahead for him. For the moment, at least. Throwing it into the back stretch chicane here. Comes out. And at the line, at the end of Sector 2, is a 51.540. XRL low goes to the top, 131.629, but he did that though with soft tire compounds, so this is the point in the event where we will likely see drivers who favor medium tires may feel that they are being pressured to run softs and try to squeeze in using soft tires. Dave Ewart, 132.732, Worsen is on the bubble, actually Worsen is on the outside, and Ocean Line is coming into the pit lane, so he feels that the time he was in the middle of was not going to work. Gabo in the Williams has soft tires on, and it's getting very dark, so the heat's going to start leaking and leaching out of the circuit. It's going to be a lot harder to get the tires up into the proper operating temperature. That favors the soft tire runners even more, though, because it's a lot easier to overheat the softs, and then, as they cool down, they get back into their operating window. Now, obviously, it's not the ideal way to do it, but it theoretically would be easier to get him. And Gabo invalidates. Fizzy is on an outlap, and he's right there getting around Hurricane and Dave Ewart there. But it's gotten really frustrating for Dave. He is on soft tires that have a lot of wear on them, and he is almost out of fuel. I think in that camp, they are looking at just bringing that car into the pit lane, going to see if they can do anything about it. It's not looking good for Mercedes right now. Dave finally comes into the pit lane. Fizzy and Gabo both in the middle of laps. But Gabo is low on fuel and doesn't have much ERS in the tank. And with 3 minutes left, there won't be another shot for Gabo, realistically, to get another lap in. Veloce retires in the pits, as does Lowe and Jigsaw. Torpedo is 9th, and he says time on mediums that he's going on another out lap. He wants to go faster. For right now, this is looking very good for Matrix, though, who is currently 5th on the timesheets at the moment. Coming into the last 2 corners now is Gabo. And it's raining! There's rain beginning to fall on the circuit. And for the likes of Gabo and Fizzy, this is it. They need to set their laps, and they need to set it now. And if you're on the medium tires, this might be a great windfall for you. Gabo, 131.563. So Worsen is on the outside looking in. He's in the middle of an invalid lap now. The rain is falling. He needs to hope that he can push it around the circuit as fast as he can. Otherwise, he's out of luck. As now the track not only is cooling up, it's also going to start getting slippier and slippier very quickly. Dave Ewart's trapped in pit lane. He won't be able to do anything. Fizzy is in the middle of the lap. Can he squeeze in at the last moment before the track is gone? Coming down to the line, smoothing out her tires in the pit lane. Fizzy will set a time, 1:31.541. That's good enough. He's in. Torpedo, your second in the championship fight, is out. He is in the middle of the lap trying to make it in, but the track's grip is leaking away. Frisbee is on the bubble right now. And this is it. Torpedo's basically it. This is realistically the last one. Ocean Line is out in the middle of the lap, but there's been raining for long enough that I don't think... A Torpedo blows the final corner. That's it. It's over. Torpedo's not going to advance to the next round. And that is great news for Matrix. So that's it. For all intents and purposes, this is over because you can now see puddles visibly beginning to form, or at least very wet spots beginning to visibly form on the circuit. So everyone on circuit will be coming into the pit lane. Craziness. So that's it. The session basically over. We watch Ocean Line and what will also be Torpedo just kind of bringing their cars into the pit lane here. And for the Mercedes camp, neither of their drivers make it out of Q2. Zola, though, has parlayed his way into the final round of qualifying. So apparently what we're getting word in is that the forecast for the race itself says that we'll be looking at the race itself being dry until last 30 or so minutes, and then it will likely wetten up. We've seen that kind of scenario before for the X3 and X2 categories here. I don't think I've seen that before in the realistic category here, though. But that could get very interesting, because if you're running a wet weather setup for the race itself, there is a very, very serious potential that you won't be able to do anything until the last part of the race. And then at that point, you run the risk of, if you're already a lap down, you still can't do anything. Conversely, though, if you're running a dry setup, you might open up a big gap, but a late race yellow that bunches the field up under wet, you could hemorrhage down the grid. And then a hybrid setup, you can't really capitalize on either. Going wet to dry is always significantly easier than dry to wet, because in a wet to dry scenario, you can just throw on a dry setup, sandbag until the rain's gone, and just let all the positions come to you. But it's going dry to wet is a lot harder. Alright, so already we're getting out underway for the final round of qualifying here. I have to take care of a few technical issues here. I do apologize. But we're seeing some, here's your telemetry, basically. just watching cars. I'm trying to take care of stuff real quickly. I am very sorry for this. You're going to have to go for a short period of time without commentary. Alright, so Frisbee in the middle of his lap. So everyone on circuit right now, the entire field at the moment on track. This is Zola. Fizzy is just about to exit Sector 1 here. But Frisbee at the moment is in the best scenario because rain is still falling and still falling pretty significantly. If the track continues to get more and more wet and lose more and more grip, and the earlier that you set the laps, the better off you're going to be. Now, that's not a guarantee. That's how this race is going to go to the end. But that's what it's looking like will be the case. Jesus Christ, Frisbee, that's extremely wide, but he's keeping it together. He's keeping it legal in the Haas machine. So Frisbee, 142.491. Veloce, 43.099. Zola has to abort. Here comes Fizzy to the line. As Lowe now takes the top spot, 42.013. Fizzy, 42.646. Jigsaw, 41.804. He's been consistently one of the fastest drivers. He might still be able to sneak a pole. His teammate Smoothie in the middle of the lap right now. Zola in the pits. Matrix, your points leader. Trying to make shenanigans happen here. Good shenanigans. His biggest title rival not even starting in the top 10 means that Matrix has a little bit of benefit in his back pocket right now. And across the line for Matrix, it will be a 143.296. Not a great time. The track might be leaching more and more grip. Smoothie, it's not super clean ahead of him. The drivers ahead are all on cooldown laps. Lowe has crashed! And Lowe has crashed on his cooldown lap. And that does not bode well. Now it's just a little bit ahead of Smoothie. And he's not the only one. There's a Haas that has gone off farther up the circuit. That's Ryan Hurricane at the start of Sector 2. Smoothie coming to the line in the second Alpine machine now. As it comes down to it, 143.856. So yes, the track seems to be falling away. I think the times that you see now will likely be what will be like to the end. We're going to try and get Lowe in here and hear what he has to say. And what took him out there. Jigsaw goes faster now, 141.169. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. The track looks like it's getting wetter, and even the drier line seems to be fading away, but that's not a guarantee. All right, coming to the party now is XRL Low. Low, go ahead and include your audio. Big accident takes you out there after you set a very competent lap. What happened? Oh, okay. That's, I've never heard that one before. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Definitely a strange and unique one. By the way, it looks like you're still probably going to qualify, maybe upper half of the grid. Do you think you can parlay that into a podium or even a race win today? All right. All right, well, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Shame to see you out of Q3 that early. All right, well, that's the word from XRL Low. Solid run leading into a DNF, or not a DNF, but accident at the end of the final round of qualifying here. Zola, the only driver who has not yet set a time. And it's been a while. He was out on track very quickly, but he aborted his outlap and waited a long time before trying to do another one. So also on circuit right now is Ryan Hurricane. Hurricane seems to think that he can parlay a bit more speed out of the racetrack. He's not the only one. Frisbee is also coming back onto the circuit. Zola coming out of the final corner. You know, pop up well, he can't pop up in the rear wing. When you are under rain conditions or wet weather track, you no longer have DRS down the straights. And that's one of the reasons why we've gone from 1 minute 31 second lap times to 1 minute 41 second lap times. That and obviously the lack of grip in the corners. Zola 142.370, so 7th fastest at the moment. And with 2 minutes and 44 seconds left in the session, a lot of drivers seem to think that they can still improve in some way or another. A lot of people going out into the track right now. Zola wearing a specially colored helmet as a sort of moral support, moral grandstanding, whatever the term is you want to use, in favor for his teammate Raptor, who, like I said, is going to be missing probably the end of the remaining race of the season due to some very significant personal issues. I do not think it's right for me to get into those here, but our thoughts and prayers are going out to him. And I've seen a significant outpouring of help, and unlike real life Formula One, at least throughout XRL, nearly everyone here treats each other as brothers or family members, or at least good friends, and there's a lot of effort to try and help out, regardless of what side of the Atlantic pond you live on. Well, everyone's on an outlap right now. This man here has completed a flyer at 142.370 and trying to get another one squeezed in here. Also, I do want to give some credit to the Aston Martin group. Both of their cars making it into the final round qualifying. Very, very good news for them. They, along with Haas and Alpine, are the only ones to do so as well. So, very interesting to say the least. Zola crosses the line, and he actually improves just a bit. Now he splits the Aston Martins. He sets a 42.276. So now we turn our focus to Ryan Hurricane, who is flying down the back straightaway. He is the next driver position to improve a lap. We are in the last minute of this session here. Matrix still in pit lane. He will not improve at his lap time. And neither will Low, so the third and fourth fastest drivers at the moment will not improve. All right, to the line for Hurricane. And it will be a 142.202. That's good enough to bring him up to 5th now. So there is still small amounts of speed, at least, in the Hawks machine. But the time is up in the session. Smoothie in the middle of the lap, trying to improve. He's already up by almost a full half second in Sector 1 alone. The next driver to cross will be Zola here. And Zola apparently just loaded up a lot of fuel and has just gone lap after lap. That does give you a small potential advantage, at least one lap compared to the next, because each lap you'll be running in a lighter car. He does improve again. He's now 5th, 142.111. Here comes Fizzy, but he's invalidated, so he's not going to improve. Veloce, though, might be able to squeeze a little bit of improvement here. No one, though, has really challenged the top 4. Veloce at the line, 141.543. So as I say that, Veloce now jumps into 3rd into the 2nd row. Ryan Hurricane in the middle of the lap, as is Smoothie 25. Smoothie coming out of the final corner. They say he's up by a full second out of Sector 2 alone. That in itself would bump him up a small amount, but not enough to really move him up the grid. Now there's the real improvement, 1.7 seconds worth. That gives him 7th. So good job by Smoothie. Now we look at Ryan Hurricane. Last driver to have to set a time here. Has he found a little bit more on this second and final lap? The answer, well, he's probably not going to compete for the front row, but at the line, it will be a 141.739. Respectable time. It looks like it should be a decent improvement. And the final round of qualifying is over now. And there's your results. And yes, Ryan Hurricane gets into 4th, 141.739. So very good job on him. The spread from 1st to 8th is about a second. But it is Jigsaw who will be starting at the front of the grid. So Jigsaw, Gabo, Veloce, Hurricane, Matrix, Low, Zola, Smoothie, Fizzy, and Frisbee for your top 10. So now it's roughly a 5-minute wait until we get to the start of the race itself. We're actually running just a little bit ahead of schedule, not by a massive amount, but by a small amount. And thank the Lords for that. Because right after this race is over on my personal channel, I'm not going to show for my personal channel, but on my personal channel, I will immediately be doing a Forza 7 race broadcast, literally the moment after this one's done. So the sooner this race ends, the better off that broadcast will be. So real quickly, while we wait to get underway for the race itself, we will take a look at the championship standings as they are right now coming out from Abu Dhabi. In the Manufacturers' Championship, Ferrari still leads with 288 points. AlphaTauri is the next closest, though, 262 points. Third is Aston Martin with 227. Now, here's the thing, though. The gap between first and second in Manufacturers is only 26 points. And there's no Ferrari showing up here, but both AlphaTauris are here. It is very possible that if they have a good day put together, AlphaTauri could take Manufacturers' Championship points lead. Third is Aston Martin with 227 points. Fourth is Williams with 212. Fifth is Alfa Romeo with 151, but they are in a direct tie with McLaren, 151 even on both of them. Seventh is Haas with 134. Eighth is Red Bull with 121. Alpine is ninth with 112. Mercedes still only sitting with 81, but they have two drivers here today, and although neither of them are starting in the front 5 rows, the fact that they have both here today means that they may have a more respectable chance of making it and getting at least 19 points to get into the triple digits. In the Drivers' Championship, Jacob is 20th with 20 points. Yun is 19th with 26. Ocean Lion is 18th with 36. Jigsaw is 17th with 42. Oz is 16th with 43. Fizzy is 15th with 44. 14th is Frisbee with 49. 13th is Beastian with 50. 12th is Worsen with 63, and that has brought him into a tie with Gabo 367.20 for 11th. 10th is Flavor with 71. 9th is XRL with 76. 8th is XRL Dragon with 89, but again, we don't anticipate he's going to be able to earn any more points to the end of the season. 7th is Zola with 96, just 4 out of triple digits. 6th is Egg Wellington with 108. 5th is Jabez John with 130. 4th is Smoothie25 with 132. 3rd is Ryan Hurricane with 139. So an interesting little three-way fight for 3rd in the championship. 2nd is XRL Torpedo with 177. And 1st is XRL Matrix with 214. So yeah, 37 points split your 1st and 2nd drivers at the moment. We look real quickly at the race director to see who's starting on what. So Jigsaw starting on mediums, 2nd through 4th on softs, Matrix on mediums, Low on softs, Zola, Smoothie on mediums, Fizzy on softs, Frisbee on mediums, Torpedo on mediums, Dave and Worsen on softs, Ocean Lion on mediums, Beastian 19, Flavor, and Call Boy all starting on softs as we prepare to get underway for the race itself now. Should be going in about a minute's time. There we are. All right, here we are. Final countdown. 5 seconds. 4, 3, and then we will see the cars load onto the circuit, and the lights will go. All right, here we are. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go here at France, and right off the line, Jigsaw is going to out-drag Gobbo down the straight. Look at the Mercedes with some incredible speed on the extreme outside line, going into turn 1 though. Jigsaw has the lead, Gobbo 2nd, behind though, Matrix and Hurricane fighting for position. Matrix up in the 4th as Hurricane is falling down the grid. Now Low gets by him as well. There's a gap between him and the drivers behind. There is Zola, he's already trying to stay ahead of Frisbee at the moment. And he's going to just barely keep it together, but further back, the other Alpine, Smoothie25, has had an instant at the very back of the grid. Hurricane running wide, trying to stay alongside Fizzy, and Zola very nearly spins out in front of Frisbee. Now Frisbee goes off circuit, he'll lose a position in Dave Ewart, so one of the Mercedes at least is gaining a lot of positions early on here. Farther back, this is Collie Boy. He's looking to maybe make a move, but he's going to have to worry about 19 on his outside. Side by side, McLaren, Haas, Frisbee, Collie Boy. In the end, the one ahead is going to be the Haas. Here comes 19, throwing it up the inside. He's going to get by one of them, maybe even both of them. He does get by both of them for position. Outstanding, outstanding job. But at the front, Jigsaw's just lost position of the lead to Gabo, 367.20. Frisbee has fallen all the way to 16th position. There is wing damage on the Haas, so it has gone from bad to worse for him. The Red Bulls have recovered in 15th and 16th positions, but we've had a very clear and clean first lap, although Smoothie in 18th obviously would take issue with that, as would Frisbee. But Jigsaw started on the pole, led about the first 2/3 of the lap, but it is Gabo in the Williams who leads at the line. Torpedo, one of your title contenders, has to pit right away because he has damage to his car as well. He is one of 2 drivers, along with Frisbee, who will have to pit. Smoothie just apparently was spun, didn't actually suffer any damage, so Smoothie will move back up into the 16th position. Fizzy, Matrix, fine for position for Matrix. This is working very good for him because he's going to be about half lap ahead of his championship rival, Davey Martin. The Mercedes had an incident and has dropped him back to the back of the grid. Struggling with that car by the looks of it. Farther up, 19, looking to make a move on Mr. Worsen. Inside, outside for a lead. Gabo, Jigsaw, side by side through the chicane. Gabo has the advantage. Jigsaw wants to get it back, though. So a very active fight for land. I thought it would be one overtaking, that would be it, but no, apparently neither of these two want to let the other one get ahead as they dive through that high-speed corner at the end of that second back straightaway and down to the more aerodynamically focused sector of the circuit. This is where Gabo will have the biggest advantage. Jigsaw just needs to keep the car behind him until they get to the main straight here. Veloce hanging out a little bit behind. Gabo has soft tires, though Jigsaw has medium, so Jigsaw has the long-term advantage, at least, when it comes to tire wear. Gabo's tires will fall off. And again, these are all the tires that they started the race on that already had some wear on them because they're the tires they used in Q2. Zola gets a time penalty, the first time penalty of the day. Jigsaw, Gabo and Jigsaw, one after another, set the fastest times. Jigsaw was faster than Gabo, though, sends it into the inside of one with DRS, can't maintain side by side, and then sideways, and Gabo is sideways and goes off circuit. Push the tires too hard, and he goes from first all the way down to 5th, might even lose that to Matrix now. And that changes everything in favor for Jigsaw, so maybe Gabo has already used up all the best parts of that soft tire compound. He'll fall in line now. However, the counterpoint to that, though, is that DRS now is going to be a thing to take in consideration. And Gabo is in the middle of a DRS train here. But Matrix behind is faster than Gabo is to Fizzy, so Gabo may have to use DRS more as a defense. Veloce, though, has capitalized. He's closed on Jigsaw. He's not burned the best of those tires off yet. 19 gained by Zola farther back in the 8th position on the grid. And now they fly through that high-speed corner once more. Top 3 all on top of each other. Alpine, Aston Martin, and AlphaTauri. The highest Ferrari-powered engine car is in 6th, and that's Matrix. Championship leaders. Worsen now gets by Collie Boy farther back. Veloce not closing massively on Jigsaw for the moment. I think Lowe might actually have a slight advantage here. He's very close to the Aston Martin ahead. He might be able to utilize DRS and the ERS combination to open up the power and at least get alongside him down the straight. Gapping first and second at about 6/10 coming out of the final corner, and Veloce is only able to close it down to about 45 hundredths at the end of the straight. So Jigsaw has a better straight line speed car compared to Veloce for the moment, and now it's Matrix, and your championship leader has had an incident, and he has gone around, fallen all the way to 15th position, and that will have some significant knock-on effects on the championship. So Matrix, spinning out of a great points position. Now he's out of the points, but again, he still has the advantage because Torpedo is still behind him on the circuit and is not in a position to really jump him in any way unless we have a yellow flag. Right now, it's better for Matrix to score no points if Torpedo also scores no points. Jigsaw, Veloce fighting for position coming out of the backstretch chicane. Veloce has the inside line. He has speed. Jigsaw on the outside. He has better long-term life of the tires, but I think Veloce has better tires for just this moment. Lowe has speed on both of them. Look at that chop. Lowe had to back out as Jigsaw jumped in front of him, trying to do a crossover into the corner, but Veloce will maintain the spot just for the moment. Jigsaw's still right there, wanting to do something to fight back. This is absolutely incredible. Alright, into the last 2 corners now. Veloce and Jigsaw taking slightly alternate lines. Jigsaw trying to keep relatively clean air on the front wing. Now he sucks up right behind the rear wing of the Aston Martin down the straightaway. DRS is in favor of the Alpine. Veloce defends the outside what will be the outside. Doesn't matter, Jigsaw's already cleanly by him. By the time they get into the braking zone, Fizzy is now going to throw his hat into the ring as 19 and Hurricane are fighting. It's a Williams versus Haas fight in the midfield. Worson now gets by Zola for 8th, so the McLarens have both found each other. Zola has kind of slipped back just a bit, and Collie has moved forward just a bit on the other hand. But at the front, Jigsaw leads once more, but Veloce has DRS, and he seems to be relatively competent in a straight line. Frisbee has just set the fastest lap in the Haas, 1:36.537. I guess it's not too surprising. He doesn't have to worry about fighting the gigantic DRS train from 1st all the way to 7th. Look at Veloce now. He has to hold off low down this straightaway. There's no DRS on this straight. Side by side, Aston Martin AlphaTauri on the inside is low, and I think he's going to make it stick, and he'll hold the position. Very nicely done, although it's not over yet. In fact, he's going to drag that battle out as long as he can. He'll try the crossover just before the corner apex. But it looks like the AlphaTauri has a nose ahead, but he has to back out. But the Aston Martin's not on the ideal lane. Doesn't matter, he'll keep it in. A little bit of contact. The Aston Martin still holds on to 2nd. Very, very nicely done job. Very clean and respectful racing by both these drivers. It's also helped though that France here is basically you have to try to hit anything that's not another car here. So you don't have to worry exactly about running off into walls or anything. But while these two are fighting though, it's let Jigsaw open up about a 2nd gap on them both. But that's gonna hurt Veloce because now Lowe will have easy DRS on him. Veloce needs to rush to try and catch back up the Alpine to get DRS as a defensive move. So now we're starting to see a little bit of deterioration further back in the grid. Obviously, Matrix has had his spin. Torpedo and Frisbee had to pit and recover from damage early on, and Smoothie spun on the 1st lap, and those drivers just have not really been able to close in on the back of the grid. In fact, the back of the grid's not really falling off in the way that we anticipated. Look at that, Collie not having a great time fighting with Worson and Dave Ewart now trying to take advantage. Down the straightaway, here comes Dave Ewart to the inside of Collie. This will be for 11th position, but it looks like Dave's not in a position to really capitalize and carry the fight through. But further up, oh, Zola is fighting there with the other Mercedes of Ocean Line as Dave Ewart makes some contact with Collie. And I think at this point, Zola is starting to feel the advantages of the medium tire compounds over the worn softs. And I think that's not the only case we're seeing that. Jigsaw is steadily holding the gap over this battle from 2nd on back. Lowe is trying to fight with Veloce, but now Fizzy is going to throw up on the inside. Look at that move! And that is an incredible overtake by Fizzy. The Aston Martin driver is extremely competent here today at France in the early stages. So Lowe may have an AlphaTauri that is very competent in a straight line, but it doesn't matter because he keeps getting mogged in the corners because now here comes a Williams, but alongside him, here comes a Williams behind him. He has DRS, he'll use that to try and stay ahead on the straightaway. A Williams still gonna try and go side by side with him. Contact once, twice. They both nearly run each other off. In fact, Lowe does go off, he'll hold the position now. Gabo is going to take the momentum to try and go around 19. 19, is he gonna stand for it? 19 will not stand for it. He'll hold on to 5th. And now that's Ryan Hurricane there in 7th. And while the Haas doesn't have much in straight line speed, it does not seem to be the big advantage that has normally been. Really quickly, I'm getting a message I need to take care of. Alright, here comes Ryan Hurricane. Now he's got to run on Gabo as 19 and Lowe are fighting again for that position. Lowe beginning to drip down the order. The soft tire's falling off. It's not worked out well for him. Oh, 19 gets by Lowe. Hurricane trying to make it stick on Gabo. Can't do it. And the Williams is faster on exit. Worson gets by Zola. So now Worson has moved up into 9th. So Zola, we thought the tires would still be looking good, but if anything, Zola is still struggling. Collie is now gained by him on the inside. Zola falling out of the points pay position. As this is continuing, Flavor now gets by Beastian. We could see at least one of the Red Bulls on actual pace and, just staying out of everyone's instance, being in the points pay positions in the next few moments if this keeps up. Hurricane now fighting with Gabo as Lowe continues to want to try and find a way by 19, but is struggling to. Ocean Line, the spin, he's off circuit. And that will drop Ocean Line down to about the 14th position. I think he'll just barely stay ahead of Smoothie 25, but for Ocean Line, he now has worn softs that have some scuff on them. Smoothie has been on the mediums though pretty much since the start of the race, so I think that will work out. Beastian's had a spin also, coming in through the final corner. now Flavor is up into the 10th position in points. Well, I said a few moments, I didn't mean that very next lap, but things happen and things change fast here in XRL sometimes. Jigsaw continues to hold the lead, but Fizzy has now gotten by Veloce and now is just hanging out in the DRS potential range of Jigsaw. I think he's going to be just outside of it this lap, but if Fizzy keeps it together, he might be able to make something work. The lead group has all kind of deteriorated and fallen apart at this point, though. But there is still this fight as Gabo holds on behind Low, and Ryan Hurricane is hanging on behind both of them. This has been absolutely incredible first stint of this race. Look at Williams throwing his car up onto the inside of Low into the first bit of the chicane. Can't keep it steady, though, has to back out. That lets Ryan Hurricane just stay alongside. Low, though, has closed back in on 19. So the Aston Martins and then Jigsaw seem to be having a zip code of their own right now. I think right now, honestly, the Aston Martins are easily, by far, the strongest car. Ooh, Low, really bad run going into the corner there. Twitch is wide, lets Gabo gets alongside. Twitch is wide again. He's trying to hold along the inside of the Williams. Can't do it now. Here comes Hurricane. Contact. The Hurricane wisely backed out of it. Didn't want to take crash damage. It's obvious that Low is struggling with a very bad handling car at the moment. Matrix has gotten by Collie Boy, and Matrix is en route to recover from his earlier spin and get back into the points paying positions. Honestly, this could be great news for Matrix. If he walks out here with points and Torpedo doesn't, well, suffice to say, although it doesn't lock up the championship for him, it makes any chance for Torpedo stealing the title from him way harder. Zola gets by Worsen now, so Zola is finally starting to do a little bit of fighting back. This is for 8th and 9th position. Flavor is a little bit behind, ready to capitalize if something happens here in this fight. Low gets a time penalty, so those tires are really falling off in a bad way for him right now. Flavor is now sucked right up behind Worsen at the end of Sector 1, so he'll have DRS. He can utilize that to stay ahead of Matrix for a little bit longer. But Flavor is on softs, Matrix is on medium tires, and although Matrix has a spin, the tires will still be good for him. So Flavor is just trying to stay alive ahead of your championship points leader. Worsen behind, now alongside Zola. He pulls alongside, he'll have the run, he'll have the momentum, a little bit of contact. Zola has the inside line. Worsen, though, has a better exit. Side by side still. Flavor right behind them, and you can see these two fighting it out down the straightaway. Who's it gonna be? It looks like Zola has the straight line advantage, and that will be enough to keep him ahead. Worsen really putting in one heck of a fight. The Chinese representative, both in the car in real life, Guan Yu Zhou, and in this game, Mr. Worsen flies under the Chinese flag colors, is putting on a heck of a showing right now in the midfield. Veloce now losing a position to 19. So the Aston Martins may be falling off a bit. Now it looks like the now at the very end of this soft tire stand, it looks like the Williams cars might be coming alive a little bit stronger here. But with that said, though, Fizzy is actually slowly closing in on Jigsaw lap by lap, about 10th or so, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe more like 900ths a lap. The DRS for Fizzy down the straights is definitely helping. Veloce has DRS on 19, will use it to fight back. 19 defends the inside. Veloce's like, okay, I'm fine with that. I'll go around the outside. Very nearly had contact, but it looks like Veloce will keep it together and will get back into third position. Now 19 has to hold off his teammate Gabo once again. Hurricane still in the fight by DRS count, so he's not in a position to really make any real moves in the battle. Gabo, he's not going to do anything for it yet. Matrix has gotten by Flavor, and now Beasting gets by Ocean Lion. Dave Ewart continuing to run right now behind Dave Ewart in the Mercedes. Dave has pitted already for new tires. The new tires have let Dave hold on, so for Torpedoes, it's just gone to an absolute horrendous start for this race. Fizzy, within 2/3 of a second, losing a bit, and now Low is pitting. So it's taken a while, but Low is finally pitting. Veloce 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help him out very much, to say the least. So Matrix is now back into the points, 9th, right behind his teammate Worsen, who is in 8th. Matrix is covering from an earlier spin. We continue to watch this, the battle for the lead, but the other battle we're going to want to also watch is this battle for about 4th and 5th, for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then 6th also as Hurricane continues to just kind of hang out there in position to capitalize. The Williams are, at least the Williams of 19 and Gabo are coming on strong against Veloce later on, but Fizzy is maintaining strength as this run continues. And again, most of these drivers are on tires that they started the race on and turned laps on in Q2. So very interesting to see this going on. Flavor has worked his way back into the points in 10th. Ocean Lion is hanging out there in 11th with Beastian behind, trying to fight for 12th, and Collie Boy is there in 13th. So Collie has been the McLaren kind of hanging out in the back of the grid, while Zola's been hanging out in the upper midfield most of the day. He has 6.6 seconds between himself and Ryan Hurricane at the moment, as he tries to stay ahead of points leader Matrix. At the front once more though, Fizzy, he's now within 6/10 of Jigsaw. That falls a bit though. It looks like the Alpine is a little bit better. X-Team that last corner, and that's working out well for him. And Beastian, a spin now for the Red Bull, but he was able to arrest it very quickly, save it, and he won't lose too many positions by the looks of it. However, that means that the tires are likely starting to fall off. He'll likely want to consider pitting in the next few laps. Then again, Beastian, he's one of the drivers who start on fresh softs, so you can push him a little bit farther. But again, you start spinning on softs, and the best of those tires fall off real quickly afterwards. At the front, Fizzy watching Jigsaw. Clouds beginning to descend on the circuit. And again, this report was that rain was likely going to fall into the track anywhere from as early as the first 30 minutes into as late as the very end of the race. No word on when the rain's gonna fall. But for the drivers on the medium tires, I imagine they'll want the soft tire compound drivers to pit, get caught on hard rubber. Well, not hard rubber, but slicks when the rain falls, so they have to make another stop. And for someone like Jigsaw, Zola, or Matrix, that would work out wonderfully in their favor. But Fizzy, despite having worn soft tires, is honestly charging with some good strength right now. Farther back, Veloce has lost a position to Hurricane, so I think it's just, I don't think the Aston Martins as a whole are falling off. I think it's just Veloce who is falling off a bit. And now you go down the front straightaway and you still have relatively good sun. So cloud cover hasn't totally seized the entire circuit. There's not outright total rain yet, at least. But Ryan Hurricane is maintaining pace in 4th. We're not used to it normally being Frisbee putting together the best runs for the Haas, but Ryan Hurricane brought home points for the team last week, and he's doing a good job keeping the car in the upper part of the grid right now at France. France? Why did I say it like that? At France. Alright, Fizzy now within 2/10. He looks side by side. His nose is ahead, and he'll take the position. So lead change. Jigsaw might have been leading the most laps, so it's not been easy. A lot of people have come up and fought with merit against him, and Fizzy now gets by Jigsaw. Matrix now squeaks by Zola farther back, so Matrix is now the second highest of everyone on the medium tire compounds. Again, we're anticipating that drivers like Matrix, Zola, Jigsaw, they're betting on rain coming sooner, but not too soon, so that way they can have a massive advantage over everyone who is on softs. They're hoping to time the change of tires perfectly here. We're not quite 30 minutes into the race. Oh, Veloce, spin, and a crash. The front wing totally off the car. You have to try to hit something out here. So Veloce obviously was taking a lot of speed into that corner. And with that level of damage, he will obviously have to pit, and this will drop him likely to last place. Gabo pitting now out of the top positions. And Jigsaw has gotten by Fizzy down the straight using some DRS shenanigans. So Fizzy did lead that lap, but Jigsaw back in front by the time they got out of turn 1. So Gabo pitting, Veloce pitting to repair damage. It seems like right now, at least we've not seen any yellow flags yet, not VSCs or full course safety cars. It looks like because of that, it's just a matter of minimizing your mistakes and you'll be doing good. You look at drivers like Flavor, you look at, well, and here it comes Fizzy back again on Jigsaw, but Jigsaw's not going to give it to him so easily this time. Side by side through the entire chicane, Jigsaw has a better exit this time. Very nicely done. That is, as I was saying, it looks like right now, it's just a matter of minimize your mistakes and you'll be in a good position. Hurricane has made no mistakes, and although he's in the worst car on the grid, he's hanging out in fourth. Matrix had a spin, but he's minimized that very well. And Fizzy's gone back by Jigsaw in the brake zone. Just about the time I think these two will settle down for a bit, they don't. And then they make another overtake. This has been some incredible fighting for a lead. I keep looking back in the grid, and I keep trying to elaborate on strategy and where everyone else is, but these two want to make the entire show about themselves, and he runs right to the back of him. And Jigsaw has to pit. Is there wing damage? Jigsaw may have taken wing damage in that contact. And if Jigsaw's taken wing damage in that contact, that will be dreadful and that will destroy his strategy. Now the good news is Jigsaw had a massive gap over the rest of the field. Is there wing damage? Yes, he took wing damage when he ran into Fizzy's rear end. Thankfully for Jigsaw, it was right before the pit lane entry. They were able to make the immediate call to come in. The bad news, though, is that this will sabotage his entire strategy to the race in. Now 19 and Hurricane, they were fighting for midfield positions. Now they're fighting for second position. Hurricane has the advantage, though. No time penalties. 19 has a different advantage, though. He has the track position, but the track position quickly falls into a disadvantage once you get onto the DRS straight. Ryan Hurricane, though, in the Ferrari engine, they've not been very fast down the straightaways. He's said to me that, well, not him, but Frisbee has said to me that they basically have been using the DRS and the Haas machine just as a way to keep pace in the straights. It's not really practical to use it to try and make for an overtake. Hurricane doesn't care. He's going to try and go the long way around. Side by side, still side by side, still side by side. 19 has a better exit and he'll stay ahead. But Hurricane really feeling confident and bullish with that car right now. And Matrix has now worked his way back into the fourth position. He is the highest driver on the medium tires right now. Jigsaw, when he got done with his pit stop, came out in 8th position, so he's still in the points. And he's still ahead of XRL, and also Jigsaw put on soft tires. Look at Hurricane going around the outside of 19. 19 is not going to take it, though. They run side by side throughout almost the entirety of Sector 3. They're still side by side, and Ryan's around. And Ryan put too much into it, and he goes right around. And now he'll fall to 5th position as Fizzy pits out of the lead now. And that gives 19 the lead position. And now Matrix is in 2nd. And a VSC, a virtual safety car, and Veloce has had an incident. It is a virtual safety car. This is perfect for Fizzy, though. He timed it well, because this will reduce the amount of time he'll lose in pit lane. Same with Davey, who just came into the pits. So 17 of our 18 cars still on track, and this is only a virtual safety car, so when they get going again, we will be flying immediately. DRS will still be enabled. The field's not going to get bunched up too much, but for this man here, Fizzy, yellow flag couldn't have come at a better time. Flavor finally gets a time penalty. Took a while. He was definitely being really aggressive with track limits. He finally gets a time penalty, but it's still a long race. I think we will likely see almost everyone with a time penalty by the time this event's over. But look at this here, though. Matrix right ahead of Zola and Ryan Hurricane, although I think Hurricane will likely pit in the next lap or two for new tires. But Matrix and Zola on the medium rubber, they have now filtered up into 2nd and 3rd position at the moment. 19 will also have to pit sooner rather than later for new rubber as well. So this has worked out well enough for these two. Zola has actually gained positions, and Matrix is a little bit faster overall, I think, but he is recovering, like I said earlier, from a spin. I think being in 2nd at this point, likely able to inherit the lead, I think he's recovered very well. There you are, green flag is back out, DRS is enabled. Dave Ewar gets back by level 6 BCM for 16th position back there. At the lead, 19 stays out another lap, as does the Haas, as does everyone for the moment, it seems. Zola has DRS on Matrix down the straight. He's closing in. Will he make the dive going into 1? No, that is a hard negative. He wants to just hold on for the moment. whether he thinks Matrix is faster or not, I think Zola realizes that right now it's just more important to not lose too much time fighting with the Alfa Romeo, so that way once everyone's kind of filled out with their strategies, they're not in a bad position. Again, Fizzy made his pit stop call at a very fortunate time. He is actually a small amount ahead by a few seconds worth, not by a massive amount, not by a full pit stop, but by a few seconds. He is ahead of everyone else in the lead right now. You don't want to spend too much time fighting, so that way you can hopefully negate Fizzy's accidental advantage that he stumbled into. Flavor has finally made his pit stop, but he will come out in the 17th position. At this point, though, Torpedo has now recovered. He is in 10th position, but he is on worn mediums. He is in 15-lap worn mediums. Obviously, this race needs to continue to change and work out in his favor. And honestly, I don't even know how you can make a race work out in his favor at this point. It's just going to be a rough time for Torpedo to get back into more points to even try and close the points gap on Matrix, who's currently second on track. Matrix actually closing on 19 at the moment. Zola's still holding on behind the Alfa Romeo. 19, though, again, he'll have to pit sooner rather than later. His tires are going to be falling off. And there we are. He's pitting. That is 19 pitting out of the lead. So Matrix will lead this lap. It will be a spin, and now he goes back into the lead here. How far back will 19 fall in relation to Fizzy is going to be the real question. Well, Fizzy's just come by him already, and 19 still hasn't made it into the pit lane. Yellow flag at the back of the grid. Flavor has spun. New tire blues. He gets back underway, though. Not great for him. 19 now falls behind Low. He'll likely fall a bit behind Torpedo and will have to hold off Frisbee for a little bit. So now Matrix, Zola, and Hurricane fighting for a lead. How hard does Zola charge to try and get ahead? Fizzy has caught them as well, pretty much. And Fizzy likely is going to end up being the de facto leader of this race once our top three pit. And all that cloud cover we saw earlier has now dissipated, so we're back to sunny skies here. Again, the forecast was that we would have rain near the later parts of this event. But it's not come yet, and I'm not going to complain about that too much, because we're still seeing some incredible racing throughout the entire grid. Ocean Line gets by Mr. Worsen for 12th. So it seems like the Alfa Romeos are a little bit better on the medium tires than the softs, potentially. But then again, Line did have DRS in his advantage at that moment. Zola pitting out of the lead. Pitting out second. Matrix now pulls on for another lap. Hurricane has to fight with Fizzy. He's not even going to have to try to fight. Fizzy, with the fresher tires and DRS and just a better engine package overall, will walk by Hurricane. Hurricane's just trying to drag out these softs as far as he feasibly can. But Fizzy now in second, so yeah, this race is, I won't say the entire race has fallen into Fizzy's hand, but for the moment, the event has fallen into his hand. No one else on the same tire strategy is even in the same ballpark as him. Jigsaw is about 4 seconds off and is on slightly more worn rubber and still has to fight his way up. Fizzy is now within DRS range of Matrix, and although Matrix has led the last lap, Fizzy is flying. Honestly, I'm going to be honest, we might, I'm not saying it will happen, but we might be on the path of seeing a record for most lead changes in a realistic league race, and I'm only talking about lead changes at the line. Now, granted, I have not broadcasted every single points paying realistic league race, but just keeping track of it in my mind, I think we've had 7 or 8 lead changes on track thus far at the line. I think it's like 7 or 8 at this point, and now if Fizzy has done it again, I think we're at 8 or 9. 19 laps into this event. If the race keeps up like this, we could very easily see a new record for most lead changes at the line in a race here. Ocean Land has had a spin. That will drop him back to the 13th position. So yeah, Fizzy, now your leader. Matrix staying out another lap on the mediums. But Fizzy on an alternate strategy has basically now overtaken him. Jigsaw trying to close down on Hurricane. This has not worked out well for Jigsaw. He has caught Hurricane at a bad place. He's going to be running behind Hurricane throughout this entire sector. And it's not going to be an area where you can just easily overtake. So the gap between Fizzy and Jigsaw will likely increase in gap here. He's there. He'll easily walk by the Haas with DRS. A little bit of contact. He's better hope that didn't damage the wing like the last contact did. Alpine actually has to take a little let out of it there, coming onto the back straightaway. Ran the risk of running right into the back of the Haas, but he's by now. But he is about 4.5 seconds out from Fizzy. So just being caught behind the Haas alone has cost Jigsaw another half second. Gabo ahead of Smoothie at the moment now. So Gabo was fine for a lead with Jigsaw earlier, had a bit of a, not a full spin, but a slide right off the racetrack, and it dropped him down the order. He's didn't lose too many positions, but he's also not really recovered from that sense. Now, I do think fourth is coming to him inevitably, maybe even third, because Matrix and Hurricane still have yet to make another stop. Frisbee, who was dead last at one point, he has now recovered up into the 10th position. And here we are, Ryan Hurricane making a pit stop out of fourth now. So this will drop him well down the order, but the entire grid is all starting to spread out a lot more at this point in the event. Zola has caught Frisbee. Will Frisbee be pitting this lap? No, Frisbee knows his teammates there. He's not going to run the risk of double staying. Smoothie 25 also pitting. He wants off those worn mediums. So Matrix is going farther on these medium tires than anyone else has thus far. In fact, at this point, everyone except Matrix has pitted at least once today. Zola will use DRS to blow by Frisbee, and that will put him into 8th. Torpedo now in 7th, but again, Torpedo is on a tire strategy that when he pits will likely drop him well out of the points-paying positions. Jigsaw now fighting with Matrix, and Superior Tire will pull him alongside, and he'll use Superior Exit to get by Matrix. So Jigsaw has actually closed the gap a bit now on Fizzy. He's down to 2.4 seconds on your race leader. So Jigsaw charging back. Now earlier, Fizzy caught and overtook Jigsaw while Jigsaw was on medium tires. Now Jigsaw, though, is on softs. Now softs have one lap of extra wear, but the softs are generally going to be faster than the mediums. So this battle is going back in Jigsaw's favor. I think, I'm keeping track of it in my mind, I think we have 8 on-track lead changes, and Jigsaw is trying to barrel down to make it the 9th. Counterpoint though, Fizzy does not have time penalties yet. Jigsaw does have a time penalty. Matrix is now pitting. This is the point where it comes in. Where does Matrix fall out in relation to everyone else? He was Zola earlier, but he went 2 laps farther. And what tires does he come out onto? Here comes 19 and Gabo, so the Williams have found each other on track again. They'll easily overtake Matrix. Matrix is still in the pits. We'll see Low go by. Torpedo's a little bit farther back, but Torpedo has recovered from just a really, really rough time. Somewhat. He is now up into 6th position and well ahead of Matrix on track. Zola is ahead of him. Frisbee on worn tires is ahead of Matrix as well. And Worsen on hot rubber is now right there behind Matrix. But Worsen also has worn soft tires. I don't know how much of a fight Worsen's going to be able to put up, or even going to be willing to put up against his teammate now. BCM pay now 16th, so there must have been some sort of damage he took earlier. So for the Red Bulls, they were running in the points-paying positions earlier, but it's all fallen apart for them, and now they're back last position. BCM's throwing hard tires. That will likely take him to not quite the end, but close to the end of the race. So Beastian is playing long game. He wants to run those hards until the ending parts of this race, or until the rain comes. Again, rain is forecasted to come by the end of this race, but if it doesn't come, this could work out well for Beastian in the long run. Might, in a way, get him back in the points-paying position. Zola by Torpedo now, using DRS and fresher rubber. At the front, though, Jigsaw is now within DRS range of Fizzy, and it's now become an inversion of what we saw earlier in the race. Earlier, Fizzy was the one barreling down on Jigsaw. Now it's Jigsaw barreling down on Fizzy. He's right behind the Aston Martin, and he'll likely be able to get DRS on him down the back straightaway, so it's literally an inversion. Earlier, it was Fizzy who was blasting Jigsaw down the back DRS straight. This time, it looks like it will be Jigsaw doing the same to Fizzy down the back DRS straight. Gap opens up just a little bit, though, for Fizzy. Going out of the exit of Sector 1. And Jigsaw's not hoofing it too hard down this back straight, it seems. So maybe I was a little bit too ambitious when I said what I said there. And these two have a 10-second gap over Gabo right now. Here comes Jigsaw. He has a run to the inside. But he won't be able to stick it in. Jigsaw backs off. This is the same area that Jigsaw was in when he actually ran to the back of Fizzy's machine and took the wind damage that necessitated him pitting earlier. Jigsaw really closing there, entering into that second to last corner. Almost right underneath. Collie Boy has had an incident back there in Sector 2, but he's gotten back away without issue. Here comes Jigsaw. He's barreling down. He's got a lot more speed this time. Fizzy's going to defend the inside. Neck and neck. Doesn't matter. Jigsaw with DRS easily pulls ahead. And if he can maintain the lead by the time they get to the line, that'll be the 9th lead change today. Again, I think this will be, we're on route for record for most lead changes in a realistic league race ever. Worsen, Hurricane fighting for position. Hurricane has tires that haven't started falling off yet. He has DRS that he's using to keep pace. Side by side through one. Trying to keep it, and he'll get it. Worsen made a mistake, and he's off. Frisbee in 8th and Torpedo in 7th are on tires that they've not started the race on, but they've been on since they had an incident on lap 1. They will have to pit sooner rather than later, but if they pit, they're going to drop well down the order, likely down to 15th or 16th position. That's not something they want. They're wanting desperately for a yellow flag to come out. The risk is, one, if not both of them, could be that yellow flag. At the front, Fizzy still there behind Jigsaw, but it has changed at the front. 9 lead changes today, assuming I'm counting right. 9 lead changes. That's one of the few things that we don't really get an option to see on our ticker or on our board. And coming down the straight now, Fizzy will engage DRS to keep in line, but Jigsaw faster on exit will use it to hold. And he is back in the lead, your pole sitter is. Williams holding on steady, and there we are. Torpedo is making his pit stop. He's not going to push any farther on those medium rubbers. But Frisbee, though, will go ahead and push farther on the medium rubber. He has Matrix behind him, though. Matrix is on fresh medium tires. Torpedo throwing on soft, so he'll be faster than everyone for a while. But like I said, he's going to fall to about 15th or 16th position. There'll be a lot of clean air, but there also will be a lot of no DRS. He'll be just clicking off laps by himself. It'll be frustrating time, to say the least, because he is so far out of the points-paying positions right now. At the front, Fizzy's still trying to do something to Jigsaw, but he's using DRS to stay in touch, but I think that's it for him. He's in touch, but that's it. Also, at the pace these two are going, they are both potentially going to put level 6 BCN in 17th, a lap down. Now, though, with that said, though, these two are on soft tires. They will have to pit sooner rather than later. BCN's on hards that, as long as he doesn't have any issues, he can go long on. But tires will start falling off for these drivers sooner rather than later, and that will give the lead, in theory, back to Gabo, who is currently reigning in 3rd position. Fizzy a little closer to Jigsaw on the straight this time, but not close enough to do anything going into 1. And the Haas machines are about to find each other again. Frisbee is really falling off on pace on these very worn very worn medium tires, and Hurricane back there 9th is closing on relatively fresh medium tires. So. Torpedo did end up in 15th, ahead of Flavor, but behind Collie Boy. 3.5 seconds behind Collie Boy. Now, Torpedo has no time penalties, though, still. If he can maintain that, he might be able to parlay that into better race finishes near the end of this race. But most of the battles on track have pretty much dissipated except for the lead fight. Fizzy keeps closing in nicely on Jigsaw in the straights, but that seems to be about it. I think Jigsaw is in a position that he can just kind of hold on for the moment. It will just be a matter of the two of them burning their tires off. Now, Jigsaw has a slight advantage in the moment, fresh air, so better tire wear, but Fizzy has had a longer period of time with fresher tire wear, so I think that advantage negates itself. I think Jigsaw will likely pit at the same time or one lap sooner than Fizzy, and then when they pit, I think Gabo will get the lead, and that will be the 10th lead change of the day. Flavor, another time penalty back there. It's just a bad day going slowly worse for Flavor. And the races since Raptor's brief separation from racing, Flavor, his biggest rival on track, has failed to be able to score points by the looks of it. Wasn't able to score points last weekend. It's not looking like he'll score points today either, as we are about halfway through this event. We are clicking the laps off at a very respectable rate. Here we are. This is the battle for lead. Fizzy is by. So Fizzy now back in the lead, and that will actually be our 10th lead change for today. So it seems like a race between Fizzy and Jigsaw. I think Jigsaw is a bit faster, but Fizzy has backed into a good advantage that has let him pull ahead of everyone else, and he is also doing a good job fighting and putting up a strong fight against Jigsaw right now. Now this time down this back straightaway, Jigsaw's the one with the DRS. He's not close enough to make a dive, but he's making it work out relatively well. Zola, meanwhile, behind low. Flying down the straight. And there you are, Zola bought him without issue. Is that Beastian who's had an incident? Yes, Beastian has had an accident, ripped off the front wing. For Beastian, this will put him a lap down. Fizzy leads though. Jigsaw closing, but not there yet. Farther back, low, trying to close back in. There are some other battles forming on the circuit, but a lot of them are just because of very significant time trying to get everything, just getting strategy worked out. Oh, and Davey Warts had an instant in a spin in Sector 1. No damage, and that happened right in front of Torpedo. So Torpedo now up into 12th. Hurricane, meanwhile, has gotten by Frisbee. So the worn tires for Frisbee. He has taken these tires. He didn't start on them, but he put them on after a lap 1 incident. Frisbee's been on these tires for 27 laps. But we have now gotten to the point where the tires, the advantage of not pitting, have been completely taken away, and he is now just beginning to drop like a rock through the grid. Jigsaw back by Fizzy just after the line. So another lead change will be the 11th lead change of the day, I believe. Oh, is that another Merc? Yes, Dave. Now it's Dave who's had another incident, and this time the entire front wing's off. Now, I think he's far enough ahead that he won't go down a lap, but he's going to be really close to going down a lap. Fizzy! Jigsaw fighting again for position. Fizzy uses DRS to get back by Jigsaw, so Fizzy will defend, and because Fizzy was leading earlier, I guess that lead change that we saw earlier will not hold. Dude, if we counted also all the lead changes we see in the middle of the laps as well, this would easily be the most competitive race we've ever seen in XRL. Excuse me. So yeah, Dave's in the pits now, and they've put on new wing, new tires. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay on the lead lap or not. Farther back, Lowe still holding on behind Zola. Lowe is on much more worn tires. And Fizzy's opened up about 1.1 seconds. Jigsaw into the pits with Fizzy. So your leaders are pitting. Here is your next lead change then. Gabo will be leading at the line by the looks of it. It's a bit of a long pit lane for those two. But yes, so there you are. Your next overtake of the race for the lead goes to Gabo. Kind of slid out of the lead position earlier. Just to add to it, when Gabo pits, that'll also be another lead change. Maybe 19 will get into the lead. Maybe it will go back to Fizzy and Jigsaw. Maybe even Zola, although I highly doubt that, because Zola's just barely up ahead of Fizzy. And for Jigsaw, frustration because Lowe is going to split himself and Fizzy. And Lowe is on very worn medium tires. Jigsaw right there behind Lowe. He's really charging, but he's being held up more than he can really just charge. Fizzy's gonna get by the McLaren. You can see it farther up. There's the move farther up. As Jigsaw gets by Lowe, Fizzy is gonna complete his overtake on Zola. The fresher rubber meaning everything. Zola's not done with it yet. He's gonna hold on, fight a little bit. This is what he wants to see, but Zola made a mistake. Now that mistake happened right in front of Jigsaw. And Jigsaw had to back out of it, backpedal. That's good for Fizzy. He'll be able to open up the gap a bit more on his rival for a bit. Jigsaw trying to find a way by the McLaren. Nothing yet. But he's looking. There he is. He's going to try and cross over a tighter line, but that means less speed exiting that corner. Oh no! And Fizzy spun right in front of the McLaren! And the McLaren took damage, and Fizzy, that might be it for his race, or at least his shot at winning this race. And for Zola, front wing damage in the process. And a good race goes bad, and the one who really is going to capitalize off that is Matrix. This will just let him earn even more points in track position. Fizzy will be able to continue, so no serious damage to his car by the looks of it. But now Jigsaw has the advantage back over Fizzy. Christ alive, will wonders never cease? This is a race that keeps on giving. Fastest lap thus far, 1:33.830 for Torpedo in 11th. And those times will continue to fall. I think we'll probably be in the high 132s by race end. Only one VSC today and no full course yellows. And the other thing that's really nice, for me at least, no rain. is gonna blow by him now. But Jigsaw's not done with Fizzy. Low, pits, farther up. Jigsaw is actually right back behind his rival on track. This has worked out well for the likes of Gabo, though, because now Gabo has almost a full pit stop distance over these two. Well, now Fizzy and Jigsaw both have probably knocked the best off their tires. Ooh, big twitch by Fizzy. Jigsaw still there, still fighting, still charging. That change that back to interval. But Jigsaw has the advantage on Fizzy down this straight. And Jigsaw hasn't really liked making the overtakes here, but he'll try and go for it. Jigsaw takes another time penalty. Fizzy still has no time penalty, so realistically that battle is still in Fizzy's favor. Spin! Ocean Lion! And now drop Lion back down the grid to 10th. Torpedo now back to the points in 9th. But again, Torpedo has time penalties, and he's still way behind Matrix. Although Matrix also has time penalties, but Matrix is in 3rd. Jigsaw has now caught Matrix, so this is an interesting bit. Matrix has gotten by Fizzy, and he's now catching Jigsaw's past Fizzy, obviously. He's now fighting with Matrix. It's gotten really hard to actually tell who's in the best scenario right now for this race. I think anyone in the top 5 could still have a shot at this, and that's assuming we stay green without rain to the end of this race. Comes Jigsaw, easy DRS overtake on Matrix. Fizzy not close enough to follow, or is he? Yes, he is! Fizzy wanted to follow, but couldn't make it stick. I think Fizzy is probably still in the best position to win this race if we stay green without rain to the end of this race. But again, rain was forecasted in the latter parts of this event. We still have about 19 laps to go. Well, it will be 19 laps at the line when Gabo crosses the line. And again, any full course yellows will completely upend the race. Well, even if we just have a regular full course yellow, I think that works very well for Fizzy because he's on the freshest tires of everyone in the top 6 outside of Jigsaw. But Jigsaw has 6 seconds worth of time penalty at least. Fizzy has none. So yeah, I think if we just avoid rain to the end of this race, I think Fizzy still has the best chance at winning here, just because of the way time penalties have worked out thus far. 19 is in 2nd, but he is on very worn soft tires, and he'll likely have to pit sooner rather than later. As level 6 Beastian behind, who is a lap down. Ooh, that looked like it was a bit of a slide there by 19. And Beastian honestly looks faster than your 2nd place driver. That's Jigsaw. Jigsaw's already closed down to 1.9, 1.5, 1.4 out from your 2nd place driver of 19. 19 pushing the soft tires to an extreme limit. I think a limit that they honestly can't hold very well. Farther back, Torpedo fighting with Smoothies. Torpedo trying to make up from a very poor start to this race, and he's had no yellow flags to help with that. He's got the speed in a straight line. And he's around, and that will likely be it then for Torpedo. As 19 pits out 2nd, Torpedo spins. This will drop him out of the points paying positions, and as long as Matrix just holds on where he is, again, he's not going to lock up the title today, but he'll be so much closer to locking it up. Jigsaw now just 12 seconds and closing on Gabo. Fizzy, though, just 1.7 out from Jigsaw, and we could see these two start fighting again. We're seeing a bunch of drivers. Smoothie is pitted, Ocean Lion's pitted. Saw 19, he's just completed his stop, so a lot of drivers in the middle of stops, and that changes the grid order quite a bit now as well. Low has fallen behind Torpedo at this point. But Torpedo, having dealt with that little spin, hasn't really been able to capitalize or do anything. He's still basically about 18 seconds behind Matrix. And when you look at time penalties, they're both even. But when you look at strategy, Matrix can go longer than Torpedo on this current set of tires. The sun is still out. If we're green to the end, Torpedo could probably throw on a set of rubber in the next 5 laps, another set of soft tires, and go to the end. But Matrix can do the same thing. And he doesn't have to worry as badly about nursing his rubber. Again, everything right now is showing more in favor of Matrix than it is for Torpedo. Low, 19, fighting for position. Zola is there ready to capitalize on it. Oh, because he is on soft tires, but he goes in the back of the AlphaTauri. Is there damage to the McLaren? We don't see any here in the booth. 19 on fresher rubber, trying to get it up to max temp and stay ahead of Low. Torpedo now pitting out 6th position, and this will drop him back out of the points paying spots. And whatever tire he puts on, he's going to have to hope that either he can make it last to the end, or that he gets lucky if the track gets wet later on and he nails the transition period. Because he's going to fall to 13... No, he's going to fall to 15th position again. Low falling just a little bit out of DRS range from 19, and Zola falls out of DRS range from Low as well. Although Low is closing back in a bit on the straight on just pure straightaway speed. But for the most part, it seems like almost all the on-track battles are gone at this point. And with that said, we still, I think we've seen 11 lead changes, 10 lead changes at this point in the event. Gabo is going to have to pit sooner rather than later, and when he pits, that will be the 11th lead change of the day. And even if he doesn't pit, Jigsaw in second is barreling down. He's closing the gap to 9.7 seconds. And Fizzy is still hanging out behind Jigsaw, but when it comes to time penalties, Jigsaw has 9 seconds. I'm not saying Jigsaw will outrun it, but if Fizzy earns any time penalties, I think Jigsaw has a chance of still being ahead of Fizzy to the end. Again, though, the big questions are going to be rain and if there will be any full course yellows or not. We have not seen any full course yellows thus far in today's race. Because of that, this event has absolutely fucking blitzed by. I'm sorry, didn't mean to curse. This event has absolutely bloody blitzed by. Zola pits, and this will drop him out of the points-paying positions, but he'll be on soft tires. He might try and make those go to the end. We're about 16 laps from the end of this race. You could make a set of tires lap 16 laps without too much issue. Zola also might just be running to the rain as well. But again, clear skies. We're in the last 16 laps of the event. If it started raining now, if it starts raining the last 5 laps of the event, we may see a scenario where a lot of drivers just try to stick it out and survive on a wet racetrack, feeling that it's better to lose 3-4 seconds each lap in the last 3 laps of the event than to pit and lose potentially 20. Ocean Lion back there in 12th. Trying to get by Worsen using DRS. He turns into it. Well, Worsen turns into Lion. It's not very good timing. Lion easy will clear Worsen. Is there damage to either of those cars? That will be the new question. Gabo, time penalty at the lead now. And Frisbee fighting with Low around the outside goes the Haas. Contact! keep it together, though, for the most part. They contact again. They won't stop contacting. They obviously want to try and make some sort of child out of this, and that's not going to happen. That's not how making cars works. They somehow both got DRS down the straight. Well, this is the messiest fighting I think I've seen thus far today. It's all in good fun, but it's also all very messy. They really need to clean this mess up afterwards, make sure the plastic is thrown away. Hopefully they didn't poke any holes in the plastic. And hopefully they both know each other's safe word. This has been... Oh, wow, that was way closer than it had a right to be. And Frisbee goes from trying to make the overtake stick there to now just trying to maximize DRS down the straight. It's like a very, very annoying sub. It's like a bratty sub. That Haas is acting like a bratty sub. And I don't think Lowe is taking to it very well. And now we see the Haas get back in front. That's going to aggravate Lowe again. He'll have the advantage on the straights, though, especially with the DRS. And he'll probably pull back in front. Whoever's watching this, go ahead. You can clip those last few moments. Yes, I know that was all a really weird, kinky metaphor. Whatever. Clip it, share it. I don't care. It was the first thing that was coming to my mind. And there you are. It looks like Frisbee has got the position over Lowe. I don't think there's any damage to the AlphaTauri, but for the moment, it looks like Frisbee is just better around the majority of the circuit. That Lowe's straight line speed advantage, he just can't really maximize. And Collie is pitting out in 9th now, and that will drop him down the order. And these tires that he puts on will take him to the end of this race, or until the rain. So now Torpedo is up into 12th, and he has caught Mr. Worsen. Worsen is on worn mediums, Torpedo is on fresh soft, so he's going to charge hard to try and make this work. For 4th and 5th, Matrix and Hurricane, these two will have to pit sooner rather than later. You could make the mediums last to the end, but they would be not under the most ideal circumstances, and drivers like 19 and Frisbee farther back might have a chance of overtaking you near the end of this event. At the front, though, Gabo still leads with a 7.3 second advantage over Jigsaw. Jigsaw just continues to very smoothly and routinely chop the advantage away. He's also been slowly adding to his advantage over Fizzy, but again, Fizzy with no time penalties looks like he will likely walk out of this race with the victory. Right now, Beastie is the only driver a lap down, despite the fact that we've been green for almost this entire race, and the only yellow flag we had was only for about 3/4 of a lap under VSC. And Lowe has had an accident. Lowe has lost the entire front wing of that car. I don't know why he's racing hard with Ocean Lion right there, but there you are. Lowe comes into the pit lane now. And this will drop him out of the points. This will also promote Torpedo back into the points-paying positions. For AlphaTauri, their chance of trying to easily overtake Ferrari in the Manufacturers' Championship today goes away. But again, Ferrari, for their Manufacturers' title, they need drivers to start showing up and running. Only one driver has tried to, and that was Kinsey Retro last week. And even at that, Kinsey didn't walk out of there with any points. He crashed out before even the halfway point of that race. And now, darkness is beginning to settle on the circuit once more. Cloud cover is beginning to thicken up again. And this could work out well for Gabo, because he might be able to just stick it out long enough until the rain falls. If this is a harbinger of rain, everything is going to go out the window. Lowe gets another time penalty a little bit farther back. Jigsaw's now down to 5.2 seconds out from Gabo. When you look at the time penalties, they both are up at 9 seconds even. Rain, there it is! We're starting to see it. Rain is now beginning to fall on the circuit here with about 11, 12 laps to go. So this will obviously make the lap times longer. Who has the fastest lap at this point of this race? That's the other question. Fastest lap, Ocean Lion at the moment. Also, one other thing to consider when it comes to telemetry, Gabo is still trying to save fuel, Feezy is still trying to save fuel, Matrix is still trying to save fuel, Hurricane's still trying to save fuel, 19 is trying to save fuel, Frisbee is trying to save fuel, Smoothie's trying to save fuel, Ocean Line's trying to save fuel, Torpedo's trying to save fuel, 9 of our top 10 drivers trying to save fuel, Worsen doesn't have to worry about fuel, Flavor's trying to save fuel, Zola doesn't have to worry about fuel, Dave Ewar's trying to save fuel, Collie Boy's trying to save fuel, Low, no worry about fuel for him, Beastian, not trying to save fuel either. We could see, and Lowe is retiring in the pit lane. Looks like it's just gotten too hard, too rough for him. He has retired. We'll try to get him in here, see if he has anything to say. Wouldn't be surprised if he declines the option to talk with us. And Ocean Line, it looks like he is going to walk out here with the fastest lap point as rain is now falling onto the circuit. Hurricane has caught Matrix. And the Haas is just close enough to use DRS to keep in touch with Matrix, so Matrix seems to be falling off just a bit at this point in the event. The track is still dry for the moment, but when it wettens up, it's going to happen in an absolute heartbeat. Who will be the first to jump in and throw on intermediate rubber? We're at 11 laps to go at this point. There's still DRS enabled as well, and that's the other thing to consider. DRS still a thing. Collie Boy's coming in now out of 15th position. Jigsaw has closed it down 2.8 seconds to the leader. He has also opened it up on Fizzy 5.6 seconds. And again, Jigsaw, one of the few people not worried about fuel mileage right now. Yep, there's the word. Collie Boy in the McLaren camp, they have thrown on intermediate rubber. So he is the first driver to make the swap. Was it too early? Was it, or did he time it right? I don't see a real dry line, wet line difference yet. That's normally the point where you want to have the intermediates on. It may have been a few seconds too early, but I'd rather be a few seconds too early than 3/4 of a lap too late. I think this might work out for Collie Boy. I just don't know if he's going to be in a position to actually capitalize and get back into the points with all this. Jigsaw holding on, 2.3, now 2.2 seconds out from Gabo. And again, your race leader is still trying to hit fuel numbers. Jigsaw does not have to worry about fuel numbers whatsoever at this point in the event. Now, the counterpoint to that, though, is that in the rain, you're not going to be pedaling the throttle nearly as much. So with that in mind, you could still save a little bit more fuel, but the fact that we've gone green almost this entire race is incredible. We've seen this before in the Monaco race earlier this season. There was no yellows whatsoever, but that was because of a glitch. Here, we've honestly only had one yellow flag, and that was just a VSC for about 3/4 of a lap. Matrix is pitting out of the top 10 positions. He has also been joined by Worsen. Are they double stacking? No. Matrix is out in time. Matrix has recovered in 10th. He has the intermediate rubber on. This may have worked out well for him because I don't see a proper wet dry line difference, but I am starting to see puddles on the track. I think Matrix may be in the best scenario going to the end of this race now. Worsen swapping over his tires. We're likely going to see at least one, if not both of the leaders making their stop this lap to try and get on some alternate rubber, get onto the intermediate tires. Jigsaw 1 second out from Gabo, but I don't think he's going to be able to pass him. Will either of them pit? No, your leaders stay out for another lap. What about Fizzy in third? If Fizzy pits, this may work out wonderfully for him. I think now is the time that you want to pit. Fizzy is not pitting yet. And there's a spin, and that's Beastian. Another spin. The rain too hard, too aggressive. He'll have to pit. So we are now seeing drivers beginning to spin due to the wet weather. Jigsaw has caught Gabo. He is within half a second. He is closing on with speed. Hurricane pitting at fourth. This might work out well for him because he will be on intermediate rubbers. Will he turn out in relation to Matrix? Jigsaw will likely have DRS that he can utilize to overtake Gabo going down this back straightaway. This might might be the battle for a lead, but 4th through 8th are all making their pit stops for intermediate rubber now. I think these two might lose the race to someone who's already made their stop. Oh, wow, Gabo, what in the world was that? Gabo runs Jigsaw right off the line, and Jigsaw gets a time penalty, but Gabo ran him right off the track. I can't see that being legal. And Gabo maintains the position that will likely be looked at by the stewards post-race. But now everyone from 5th on back have made their stops, and Matrix is going to be in the catbird seat. I think Matrix is going to walk out here, potentially with the race win. Torpedo is there in 4th. He has 33 seconds ahead of Matrix right now, but he needs to bring that car around. No, he's not 33 seconds ahead of Matrix. He's only 6 seconds ahead of Matrix. He needs to bring that car around and pit and throw on intermediates now before it's too late. Zola, I don't know what they're doing in the Mercedes pit and the McLaren pit. They put on hards on a wet racetrack. They're stupid. They're absolutely bloody stupid. There you are. Your 2 leaders are pitting. Fizzy is pitting. Torpedo will pit as well. Is the gap that the top 3 had over Matrix enough to keep them ahead? I think it will be. I think it's still going to be Gabo, Jigsaw, and Fizzy fighting for the win here. DRS has been disabled. Torpedo has put on a very valiant effort on these soft tires, squeezing as much out of them as possible. But with the way this race has gone, I think for him, championship hopes are dead now. As he finally has to pit, and when he pits, he's going to drop out of the points-paying positions once more. Matrix, on the other hand, is going to walk back into 4th place position. At the front, Gabo still leads. As we look at the telemetry, though, Gabo is still trying to hit fuel numbers. Jigsaw, no worries about that. Fizzy in 3rd, also trying to hit fuel numbers. Matrix in 4th, still trying to hit fuel numbers. Hurricane's hitting fuel numbers. 19's hitting fuel numbers. Ocean Lion's trying to hit fuel numbers. Frisbee's trying to hit fuel numbers. Torpedo's trying to hit fuel numbers. Smoothie in 10th has no time penalties. He's not trying to hit any fuel numbers. He's 10th now. I think Smoothie might be able to steal a few more positions by race end. Mr. Worson's still trying to hit fuel numbers. Flavor's still trying to hit fuel numbers. Zola, no worry about fuel numbers, but his team has screwed him over with some stupid tire strategy. Collie Boy's still trying to hit fuel numbers. Dave Ewart's still trying to hit fuel numbers. Beastian doesn't have to worry about fuel numbers, but he's also a lap down. So I think Jigsaw still has a chance at this race, but he needs to be able to keep pushing and pedaling to catch Gabo. Fuel numbers is going to be what... Fuel numbers and time penalties will be what wins this race, and then the stewards' decisions post-race as well. And everyone is on intermediate rubber that will last to the end of this race. Jigsaw off circuit. So that Alpine might have intermediates on, but he doesn't feel comfortable with that car at all by the looks of it. Ocean Lion gets by 19 because 19 has had a spin there in Sector 2. Now he's falling through the grid. Smoothie there behind 19, but again, no DRS. You have to rely on just sheer straight line advantage if you want to overtake now, or hope that the driver ahead makes a mistake. I think right now that's what we're seeing at the front. Jigsaw doesn't have to worry about saving fuel. He's just making mistakes. The car is just not well set up for this wet weather condition, it seems. I think that might enable Gabo to walk out here with this race win. The counterpoint, though, is that Fizzy is still within 9 seconds of Gabo at the moment. So yeah, by this point, it looks like this race is pretty much over. Everyone's recovered well enough. Torpedo is actually in 8th, so it's gone acceptable, I guess, for Torpedo if he wasn't fighting for a championship. But Matrix has been allowed to run around the Aston Martin for so long that he built up an insurmountable points lead, and then couple that with the fact that he just generally has good strategy, I think it's worked out very well for him. Fizzy has now fallen outside of 10 seconds from the leader. He could still nick second off of Jigsaw, and Jigsaw trying to close in still on Gabo. Gabo still is trying to hit fuel numbers. We're at 5.5 laps to go at this point. Jigsaw's now within 1.5 seconds of Gabo. 19 gets another time penalty back there, 9th position. And Fizzy is fading hard. So look at the penalties real quickly. Smoothie is likely going to leapfrog 19 for 9th, but I don't think he can do much more than that. Torpedo will get by Frisbee for 7th. If he doesn't overtake him right here on the track, which looks like he will. So good job on Torpedo there. But I think Torpedo is far enough back that he won't be able to move up any more positions. Matrix won't gain any spots. I don't think very many other people will gain spots on the circuit here. The big question is going to be, post-race, will Jigsaw have 3 seconds of time penalty removed, or will Gabo have time penalties applied due to Gabo blocking Jigsaw right off the racetrack on the back straightaway right before they came into the pits. And again, I do want to real quickly give a shout out to Ocean Lion, fastest lap of the day. Good job, mate. Closing laps of the event. When they come to the line, it will be 4 laps to go. Gabo is maintaining the gap, though, and I think fuel won't be too much of an issue. Red Bull pulling over down the back straight, and that was Beastian Lane lead lap cars by. Still, Gabo's struggling to hit numbers, but every lap that little light stays yellow instead of red, the better off he is. Also, these two are both at running the chance of putting Zola a lap down after some tremendously stupid decision in the McLaren camp. Oh, Red Bull? Who is that? Is that Flavor? Yes, Flavor has had a spin there, and he might lose those positions to Collie Boy and Dave Ewart. Smoothie still stalking 19, and Frisbee farther up also has a bunch of time penalties. Smoothie might end up jumping up to 8th post-race. Jigsaw, again, no worry about fuel, and it's letting him put pressure on Gabo, but he's not been able to get closer than about 1.2 seconds since they pitted, and I imagine Jigsaw is going to be livid still over Gabo ran him off circuit earlier, but... Ooh, twitched by the leading Williams. Well, gentlemen, we are looking like we are going to have a race with no full course yellows here. Give me just a second. I need to check something here. Jigsaw now within a second. This is the closest he's been to Gabo. And now he falls back out of that range. And Gabo looks like he's going to walk out here with this race win. Now, he has definitely had some incidents and some hiccups. All right, coming into the party right now is PZ, French for a man. PZ, I know you're not covering this race right now, but I did want to go ahead and share something with you that I think you would take interest in. We are on lap 51 of 53 here at France. No safety cars, only a single full course yellow, so it finally happened. But anyways, I will go ahead. I will let you go and take care of whatever you're doing. I just wanted to share that with you before this broadcast was over. Alright. Well, as we turn our focus back to the racetrack here, Gabo holds a 2/3 second gap over Jigsaw here in pouring rain. Jigsaw closest that he's been all day long. Fuel not an issue for Jigsaw. Gabo still trying to hit fuel numbers. 2 laps to go at the line. What can Jigsaw do? Accident, back straightaway. Who is that? It's Mr. Worsen. And he has just started now going to go. But this means that he will have no chance to fight for points paying positions. At the front, 4/10. Now through a 3rd second gap between Gabo and Jigsaw. Jigsaw is mastering everything he can against Gabo, but does he run the risk of the William pushing the Alpine off the track again? Sector 3, another accident. That is a different car. Looks like a Red Bull Beastion. Oh, twitch by Gabo, twitch by Jigsaw. They're both sliding in the rain. Gabo opens the gap back up, going down the back straightaway. Smoothie finally gets by 19 for the 9th position. The gap extends back to a 2nd, but it immediately starts closing. Jigsaw doesn't have to worry about fuel. Gabo is still trying to chase fuel numbers. There's also lap traffic ahead that looks like it may play a factor into this fight, because it looks like Gabo is going to catch Zola here in Sector 3. 8/10 gap between 1st and 2nd. Matrix has now gotten by Fizzy for the 3rd position. So Matrix is going to continue to add to his points gap in the series. They're coming down to the white flag for the lead. Jigsaw now 6/10 out, about 2/3 of a second out from Gabo. He just wants to position his Alpine ahead, knowing that he might still get this race later when penalties are assessed post-race. Gabo realizes the same, and he wants to stay ahead of Jigsaw just in case penalties don't end up being a factor. They're coming to the final corner, and they will cross the start-finish line. White flag is in the air. 6/10 second gap between 1st and 2nd. Ryan Hurricane now gets by Fizzy, as Fizzy is plummeting. He is out of fuel. Fizzy is out of fuel. Ocean Line is still struggling with bullet fuel, but Fizzy is out of fuel. He has no time penalties, but he is out of fuel. What about everyone else? Matrix, your 3rd place man, he is out of fuel. He has 30 seconds on the rest of the field behind him, but he is out of fuel. Gabo is out of fuel. I repeat, your race leader is on fumes right now. Jigsaw also is on fumes. They're both on fumes. Everyone at the front is on fumes. Everyone in the entire grid is on fumes until you get back to 7th with Frizzy. No, I take that back. Frisbee is on fumes as well now. The entire field is on fumes until you get to Smoothie in 9th position. Gabo, Jigsaw, both on fumes. Flying down the back straightaway. Jigsaw's burned all that extra fuel advantage he had just trying to catch him. Well, he's caught him now. This is it. They go through the back straightaway one more time. Can Jigsaw make one more overtake for the lead? They're both burning down their ERS right now. 3% for Jigsaw, 8% for Gabo. Coming into Sector 3 for the final time. Jigsaw's gonna have to be really crazy, really aggressive if he wants to get in front of the Williams. Will the Williams have the fuel to make it to the end? The fuel light is flashing aggressively. 19 plummeting through the grid. I think he is totally out of fuel right now as well. for the race win. Gabo. It's been difficult, but it looks like he's been able to manage everything. Post-race penalties may change how this turns out, but at the end, to the line, it will be Gabo as he puts the power down, soaks up the last bit of fuel, very nearly runs over his teammate 19. No! Jigsaw passed him at the line, right at the start-finish line. Jigsaw over to Gabo. Gabo does get back out on points penalty, but, big but, time penalties might come in later and change how that goes. Matrix, low on fuel. Does he have the fuel to make it to the end of this? As we look real quickly to try and get Gabo and Jigsaw into the party here. And Matrix at a very, very slow pace will cross the line third, just a little bit ahead of Ryan Hurricane. Here comes Ocean Lion. He'll barely have it. Fizzy. Time penalty, 10 seconds. He was not even 7th with no time penalties. Now, for exceeding track limits, he will get a massive time penalty. I don't know if everyone's going to make it to the line. Here comes Smoothie out of the final corner now. The entire grid is getting upended just due to the inability or the lack of ability by some drivers to make it cleanly to the end. Fizzy just so slowly coming to the line. And if Fizzy didn't have those time penalties, he very potentially could have ended up with another position or two. Here comes Frisbee. He's in 8th position right now. Frisbee barely crossing in 8. He'll get it. And now Mr. Worsen behind in 9th. And it will be Torpedo in 10th. This is probably the most intense race I think I've ever seen, as we've gone green, flag to flag. Incredible. We're trying to get one of our two race winners. We don't know who it is, but get them into the party, but we've had no luck thus far. Dave Ewart creeping down the finish straight. Can't use ERS. Has almost no fuel, but he'll creep across the line. All right, and coming into the party is Gabo, 367.20. Gabo, go ahead and include your audio. Outstanding to the end. We don't know who won between you and Jigsaw due to how time penalties might turn out, but if you won, congratulations. What do you have to say about that incredible race?
Well, it was an actual roller coaster for me. I tried to stay as long as possible because I knew that the rain was coming to the end. I just tried to stick with mediums till the rain coming.
Boy, you timed that about as perfectly as you could. One lap earlier, you would have been screwed. One lap later, you would have been overtaken. You timed that perfectly, and you still ran out of fuel. And it's kind of iffy because you weren't the first driver to cross the line, but on time penalties, the way they stand now, you end up in the lead, but time penalties might get changed later. Just, so much. Also, Gabo, I just want to say, if my data is correct, you have won what is probably the most competitive race for leading position ever in the realistic series. We had 12 different changes for a lead in today's event.
Yeah, thanks. But actually, I lead the race like at the beginning, like in lap 3, and I got a snap. I actually thought that was the end of my race there, but now I tried to go for the undercut and went ahead of the other guys and stick with mediums.
All right. Absolutely outstanding. Whether this race, again, like I said, don't know if this is going to stay with you or if it will stay with Jigsaw. There could still be post-race penalties that could upend everything. But irregardless, an absolutely outstanding and fantastic recovery drive for you, Gabo. From the front row to the lead, sliding out, spending the entire day recovering, running out of fuel across the line. Just absolutely incredible.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's the word from our race winner, Gabo36720. XO Jigsaw has declined to share a comment with us. I have to go to the next broadcast. In a week's time, we will likely see a different person, which will probably be Veloce doing the broadcasting next week. Until next time, though, I will talk to you at a later time. Thank you for joining us. Farewell and goodbye, everyone.